to sit with someone for an hour as you get ready and really truly talk about yourself, your life, your business decisions, and have them, their live feeds. So people are putting in comments and questions and observations, and it is a connector.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Sam Hind, and I'm so excited to have you here with me today to listen in to an interview with a very beautiful human being, an experienced marketing and sales strategist in the direct selling industry, Monica Wihongi. Monica is the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer for Younique. But she has a history of over 32 years of working with, close to my heart, a direct selling company that's been around in the industry for decades that has recently closed down. Monica's got a story like many people in this industry right now, a story of belonging to something that became absolutely family to her and then having to transition into a new journey and a new pathway. Monica's story is beautiful, it's touching, but it's also meaningful in so many ways because she talks about what to do next. Monica's also a mum of 7 and has been so incredibly successful in her career while balancing that incredible role as well. I was really fascinated to hear how she's done it all, and I know you will be too. So make sure you grab pen and paper. Monica talks about some of her tips and strategies for staying present and being the best version of herself as she continues to grow in her roles. But she also shares some of the exciting things that are happening at the moment for Younique and the journey ahead for her. So I hope you enjoy this episode. I certainly enjoyed recording it. Grab your pen and paper, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Well, welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Sam Hind, and I am so excited to welcome Monica in. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here.
I'm really excited for this conversation. You and I got the chance to meet and catch up in person the last time we were in Utah, and I feel like we could have talked for hours, and you are such a wealth of information. So I'm super excited for this episode today, and I know it's going to be really helpful for our listeners too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Monica, you are now the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer with Younique, but you've got quite an extensive history. And actually, to be honest, you were with one company for, I think, longer than anyone I know who's ever been in any role. And potentially you would still be with them today, I'm guessing, had, the company not sadly shut down. But do you want to tell us a little bit about your experience and history in the industry?
Yeah, it's a beautiful story. It's an amazing story. It's got the thrills and chills and all of the above. But I was literally a teenager when I started working there. I was 19 years old. And it really was the place that I just saw myself forever. And it was privately owned. We were a scrapbooking, paper crafting company called Close to My Heart. Mm-hmm. And we had distributors in 5 markets. Australia was one of them, New Zealand, Japan, Canada, and of course the US, which was where it was founded. Anyway, I was 19. I met the owner. I just fell in love with her. She had a beautiful light about her. And I looked through her catalog of these cute little rubber stamp designs of like teddy bears and little hearts and angels. And at 19, I said, I don't know what it is I'm supposed to do for you, but I know I'm supposed to help you. And I don't know where that came from. And, it's one of those stories that you just go, it was meant to be. And she said, okay, you're hired. I'd never interviewed. I didn't even fill out a form. She just said, when can you start? And I started pretty much right away. And I started helping on phones, and I worked my way up in the company. And I never truly imagined that I would stay. I never saw myself actually as a businesswoman. I saw myself, just 19 years old. What I did know for sure was I was going to be a mother and I was going to have a lot of children. That was like my vision for my life. And boy, you can have that vision and so much more. And that's what Close to My Heart brought to my life. Yeah. And so I worked there for 32 years. and I moved up to be the president of the company. And I was the president of the company the last 7 years of the company's history. And I've done it all, like every role, every position. And truly because I believed in the company, I believed in the mission, and most of all, I loved serving women. And I found my calling. That was it for me. And there was such a passion and such a love. It was my family, and
Yeah.
that's how I grew. I never chased after a position. And sometimes I even rejected positions, but somehow the owner, Jeanette, she just convinced me that this was what I was supposed to be doing. And yeah, she was very persuasive.
So, I mean, you were with them for 31 years before it closed its doors. Did I get that number right?
30, almost 32. I'm going to claim 32. So my 32nd anniversary would have been in July, and I left the
Yeah.
company at the end of April. So May 1 is when
Wow.
I started Younique.
Yep. That's amazing. And you said that you wanted to have a big family. Now, did that end up happening?
It very much so did. And in fact, I'm celebrating my 33rd wedding anniversary this month. And it's just been an amazing ride. And I have to have a supportive spouse as my husband.
Yeah.
And we have had 7 children
Oh my
together.
gosh.
And yeah, I have seven
Oh,
kids, and I worked the entire time having children. And
yep.
it's actually, again, an amazing opportunity and story. I was able to bring each and every one of my children to work for the first 6 months of their lives.
Wow.
And I had an office with the crib, and everybody just, knew that here's Monica with another baby, and she's just going to get the job done. And
Yeah.
and I don't know, multitasking is my thing. And so we have 7 children, 4 are married, and we have 6 grandchildren with another grandchild coming any day.
That's amazing. And I've got to ask, as another mum in business and, Addie is now 18 months old. So, I'm redoing that whole balancing act. And by the way, I thought I was crazy with 5 kids, 7, that's just next level. But I do have to say, I think once you hit about 4, it's like, what's another one, right?
Numbers game.
Yeah, that's right. You've already got a bus now to drive
That's right.
everyone around.
Sure.
So I would love to know, woman to woman, mum to mum,
Mhm.
entrepreneur and incredible successfully, achieved woman in business, one to another. What do you do to stay grounded? Like, you must have some things that you do to keep yourself, number one, focused on whatever the task at hand is, because that's a lot of, jumping
Juggling.
from thing to thing.
Yeah.
But also, how do you stay grounded? How do you stay creative? How do you stay energized? How do you look after yourself? That's a big question. Lots in there, but I
Yeah.
want to know it all.
Yeah, it's a big question, and it's changed over the years for
Yeah.
sure. And I would to be perfectly transparent, in the beginning it was rough and it was
Mm,
hard, and I had a lot of expectations on myself. If you could even
yeah.
say perfectionism, right? Like, I have to be the perfect mother, but I also had to work. My husband was getting a doctorate degree in educational leadership, and he was doing school full time and working full time, and it was never the plan that I was going to be a working mother. It just happened to be the situation that we were
Yeah.
in. And thankfully, honestly, I had so much help supportively. Like, it takes a village, and I had a village. And I don't think if I had the support of my extended family, would I have had as many children. And so I had a cousin who was my nanny for 8 years, who was devoted to my family, who helped me. I had sisters who helped raise my children while I was working. So I definitely didn't do it alone, and I had a lot of help.
Mm,
And it was many, many years and many children later that I realized, instead of feeling this mom guilt that was so prevalent in our society,
yeah.
especially in the early 90s, and especially where I live in Utah, it was very unusual to have that many children and be working full time.
Yeah.
When I realized, you know what, I actually really love who I am as someone who's contributing to the world as a working person.
Yeah.
And once I realized that and owned it, oh my gosh, the joy, the meaningfulness of motherhood plus doing what I do, the capacity was already there.
Yeah.
It wasn't a slog. It wasn't work. I mean, it was work, but you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
enjoyed it and I
Yeah.
liked who I was from that. And that made me a better wife, a better mother, a better sister in every single way. Now, it is very important to take time for yourself. And
Yeah.
you do have to put yourself first. It's very, very true that that oxygen mask needs to be on you so that you can help other people. And so I make it a priority. I take time for myself. I do walking. I have a walking trail right by my house. And so I love to go on a walk, even if it's 25 minutes, 30 minutes, just alone. I
Yeah.
do meditation. I I'm a spiritual person, so I do prayers and I do scripture reading and studying, those types of things. And so
Yeah.
it is about making sure that you have a structured day and time because that is the gift. Discipline
Mm.
is freedom. And
Yeah.
so as long as you can organize yourself, anything's possible. You can do all the things. And so I do get massages. I actually do monthly IVs. I get fluid IVs to make sure that I'm hydrated and I have nutrition and those types of things. And so I have a date night with my husband every
I
single
love
week.
that.
We've never not done a date night, and we go out of town together at least twice a year where we're
Yeah.
just us two. And so you've got to make the time for that. And then I surround myself with incredible people, not just through my family and friends that help me and support me, but at work. Like I am nothing without the people that help support me at work. And I've got an incredible management team, some of the best people in the industry who have such commitment and vision. So it's a lot of things. I mean, that's a big answer for the big question,
I love
but
it though. I've
yeah.
got to ask though, if you aren't surrounded, I mean, have there been times in your life where you've found yourself not surrounded by maybe the best people you could be around? For example, in a workplace where you end up in a situation where you think, these are just not necessarily my people, or they're not getting the best out of me, I'm not getting the best out of them. Have you found yourself in a situation like that where you don't have that network, and what do you do about it?
Yes and no. I mean, I've always had at least one, even if it's
Yep.
just one person that you
Yep.
can count on 100%, that you've got full total trust in. I've always
Yep.
had my husband, and he's someone that I can totally, completely trust. He really is my better half in so many ways, and so I know that I'm blessed that way. I know that
Mm.
that's not typical and usual, but we've worked at it. We've gone to therapy together. We've done a lot of spiritual things together,
Yep.
and like I said, take the time. So that's the steady for me. When nothing else, that's the steady, right?
Yep.
And then second of all, like I said, I've always had someone at work, but I've definitely been in situations and environments where I'm like, this person is not a fit for me, and I'm not for everyone, and that's
Mm.
okay. And so if I can't make it work with someone, then if I'm in the position, then I make sure that we move on from that position or something like that. And
Mm.
so
Yep.
having those crucial conversations and letting people know, I think that's one of my superpowers is transparency and being
Yep.
able to have hard conversations with people with compassion and empathy. And nine
Mm.
times out of 10, I mean, really 10 times out of 10, they know too, and
Yep.
they realize like, you know what, I would be better off somewhere else where I feel like I fit in. And
Yeah.
so it's doing the hard work that
Yep.
way, but it is a gift in the long run for yourself and
Yeah.
for that other person too.
And I love that you clearly know your capacity as well. You're very self-aware in the sense that these are the things that I need, these are my limitations, and this is where I stand. So I love that. Very inspirational, especially I think for anyone listening who might be a parent who's trying to navigate their way into business. And man, oh man, mummy guilt is a really tough one, isn't it? And I think I love that you had to go through that journey where you had to learn to love this part of yourself. And I think there's a difference between what society says versus I think sometimes what we were born and put on this earth to do. And, you know, if we don't conform to that and it doesn't feel like a fit, we beat ourselves up instead of going, hang on, why am I trying to fit into a box that perhaps I was never born to fit into? So I love that you had to learn to love yourself in that space. And once you did, it sounds like it really released a lot off you and gave you so much more joy.
Yeah.
I want to just talk about close to my heart for a moment before we get into what's happening now,
Yeah,
because you're doing
yeah.
some incredible things now in the role that you're in. But after 31 years, I mean, that is 32 years. We're going with 32. But after almost 32 years, you were obviously with a company that was literally your family. What was that transition like? There must have been a really difficult grieving process there for you. And how did you not move on from that, but how did you then, what process did you use to
Yeah.
step into the next journey? I know a lot of people right now, and the reason I ask this question, just to frame this out, is a lot of people right now, particularly a lot of our listeners, many of them have gone through something in the last 12, 24 months where the company they've been with has disappeared. We've seen that in Australia with Tupperware, with Rodan and Fields. There have been a number of others, Modere, and there are people right now sitting there going, my heart is still broken, or I just don't know what to do next. You, of all people, have absolutely been through that journey. What was that like?
It was truly one of the hardest, most difficult things I've ever experienced in my life. And there was definitely a grieving process. And
Mm,
I honestly, Sam, I'm still grieving. I
mm,
think we'll forever grieve. It feels like a death of a family member in so
yeah,
many ways.
mm,
And, there was a lot of factors in why Close to My Heart had to close. And the acceptance of it was number one for me, was seeing that this had to be this way. And so then my focus, because of the kind of person that I am, became, how do I help all of these people that we have served for so many years, who
mm,
I love with my whole heart? How do I honor them and serve them in the best way possible to shut this down with grace,
yeah,
and not just close the doors? And like, hearing what's happening in the industry, it literally just hurts my heart so badly. And I know there's another way, because I've
yeah,
lived it, and it took a lot to go through it. And so it was about honoring what we've created together, and then finding that place of where they belong. And so it, I like I said, I'm a big believer in God, and I do believe that God had a hand in all of this, and that turning to my faith, and turning to what I call spirit, and listening and praying a lot, and saying, what is this next step, and taking one
mm,
step at a time. And sometimes it's one day at a time, sometimes it's half a day at a time, and
yeah,
sometimes it was 1 hour at a time, of
mhm,
like, what do I need to be doing right now to help in this transition? And again, I feel like by the grace of God, I met someone who, years before, which was a random meeting, and it was someone, Sarah Douglas from Stampin' Up. And she randomly called me and called our front office at Close Meyer and said, I know you don't know me, but I just have a feeling like we should meet. And
she
we
told me
had
about this conversation. She
nothing.
did. Yeah,
Like, you talk about, here's a competitor, like, quote
yeah,
unquote, they were our competition, we were their competition. And in so many ways, we were a paper crafting company, their paper crafting company, but we came together as
mm,
women in business to just feel like you have someone to talk to who
yeah,
understands. And it was the most beautiful meeting. Then fast forward 2 years, I'm calling Sarah to say, I think I know why we met. I think I
mm,
know now. And it unfolded the story of us finding a place and a home for our thousands and thousands of distributors in
yeah,
5 markets, to say, here is somewhere for you to land.
yeah,
It's not a guarantee, but it's a transition. And not
mhm,
only was Sarah and her team so gracious, I mean, there was negotiations, there was hard times, and it was
yeah,
hard to let go and not want to be in charge of everything like I
yeah,
was used to. But to even say, here's product that you can have to help transition. Here's things that we can sell you so that they can still have the comfort of what they're used to, because it's going to be different over there,
mm,
And so it was a lot. And Jeanette, the owner of Close to My Heart, again, too, she didn't have to do all of this. She didn't,
yeah,
like, she's set and she's done. And she could have just said, okay, it's been a wonderful 40 years for her. Thank you, everyone. But
Yeah.
instead, she took care of every single distributor who had another amazing opportunity. Plus, every employee that we employed, over 100 people, walked away with a severance. She took care of everyone. And and because of her health, she wasn't able to facilitate it all. So I became the facilitator,
Mhm.
and it became my next mission, my purpose. And towards the end of all the closure of all of it, I had no guaranteed job. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was honestly scared. I was like, I'm over 50 years old. I've only worked at one place. I'm a president of a company. Like, what is next for me? Our industry's shaken up.
Mhm.
And when I prayed that day that I was going to make the public announcement that we were closing, I asked God to just give me the strength to find the words that I could do this with grace and dignity, and that to not worry about myself, to just let it go, that this
Yeah.
is about everybody else and not about me. I got up, went to go wash my face, and I got a text from a colleague that I used to work with to say, do you have time to talk to me? I have an opportunity for you. Literally within 5 minutes.
That's amazing.
And that was the Younique opportunity.
Yeah. Wow.
So hard work,
Mhm.
faith, facing the fear and moving ahead and letting go is what opened all the doors for everyone involved.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. And tell us about your new role. I mean, this is super exciting. It's so different to what you were doing. And by the way, I've just got to say, like your office, I walked into your office. It is the most beautiful office I've ever been. It feels like you're walking into the most comfortable lounge room. I love that you've designed that and made it your own, overlooking Utah. It was just beautiful. I could live there. I feel like you've just made it this little haven for yourself. But tell us about this new role, this exciting new position that you're in, and what you're excited about for Younique and moving forward.
Yeah, of course. Well, that opportunity presented itself, and as I talked to Brian Holman, who's the president of Younique, who I worked with at Close to My Heart, that's how we knew each other. And he got offered the position of president and said, I don't want to do this without you. I know what you bring to the table. And he helped me. He was helping facilitate some of the closure with Close to My Heart and Stampin' Up. He
Mhm.
was someone that I turned to, and no idea that this was even in the radar, at all. But um, the thing that really drew me to Younique was the mission: uplift, empower, and validate. And again, like, my job for me has always been a calling, and it happens to be my job. And that is serving women and helping women find their place, whatever it may
Mhm.
be, even if it's just to pay for dance lessons or to help pay for a car payment, or bigger and bigger, and live your best life and find confidence. I've seen what direct sales and multi-level marketing, how it changes lives and gives confidence into women. I've been a witness for over 33 years. And so when Brian talked to me about Younique, and specifically, I didn't know much actually about Younique. I had Close to My Heart blinders, and I was focused on Close to My Heart. Didn't worry about anybody else. So when I really understood what the mission was and
Mm.
the foundation that is linked, because it was created through Younique, and that is Supriya, which is to help eradicate child sexual abuse and
Mm.
to help those heal who've been affected, and to educate. That was it for me. I was like, I have a new calling. I have a new mission, and I can bring what I've learned through my 30 years with Close to My Heart to Younique. And the bonus, which is such a fun bonus, is I'm a makeup girly and I love makeup and I've always loved makeup and I've worn makeup since I was 14 years old, and not like drugstore makeup. I was a Clinique girl. I was a Lancome girl. I was like, my mother taught me well, and I always took care of my skin, and I
Mm.
always had really nice skincare and makeup. So to now be dabbling into something that I actually have a passion for, like
Yep.
really love, and was just like amazing to me too. So working for women, working for a mission of uplift,
Yeah.
empower, and validate, helping Sapria is just an incredible, incredible opportunity. And again, I feel that passion and I felt that pull. And so for me to be able to be in this space with these women, and it's direct sales multi-level, but it is a totally different vibe from a paper crafter to
Yeah.
someone who's showing up, in such a different space.
Mm.
And I've learned a lot in the last year. I have felt myself grow and expand. And Sam, it has been hard, hard, hard.
Yeah.
And yet, oh my gosh, I feel so needed. And I feel like I can make such a difference. And I believe I am doing that. And so it's invigorating, it's exciting, and it's a challenge. And that's what life's all about, is how we grow and how we expand that way. So here I am.
So good. And Monica, you are literally a marketing powerhouse. I've seen some of the things that you've been getting up to, and the you literally throw yourself into the training, and I want to talk about a little bit about that in a moment. But in your observations over all of these years, and obviously, there's a very big difference between the way someone, for example, from close to my heart would talk about the business and share the business versus someone who's with Younique. But what are the digital transitions that you've observed happening? And I'm going to ask you a question, or I want you to be super honest here, because that's what this podcast is all about.
Yeah.
What do you think our industry needs to do better to transition right now in the digital world? Where do you see the opportunity, but also the holes at the moment for this industry?
Oh, that is such a great observation and great question. And definitely what I was seeing at close to my heart, and what was really showing up for us in a big way, it was a party plan company through and through. And the way that
Yeah.
it grew was getting together with people, having workshops, and
Mhm.
doing this in-person, exchange. And that's how it grew, right?
Yeah.
And we were seeing the transition from COVID. I mean, COVID stopped it cold in its tracks, right? And so now people are having to show up online. And so
Yep.
I was so, again, like everything happens for a reason. And I felt like I got such a schooling on social selling, and showing up online from a space where everything was in person. And now here we are having Facebook parties, and we're, private groups and Zoom classes and all of these things. And gosh, I saw a different elevation. I mean, we closed close to my heart as a profitable company
Mm.
because we were willing to pivot socially. Now we were forced into that. Now move over to Younique. This is actually a social selling company. It was founded through Facebook, like through Facebook parties, and it exploded. Its claim is it's the fastest online selling business in the history of direct sales, and grew to be this massive, huge company. But times are changing, and
Mm.
people aren't showing up the same way anymore on Facebook, and then people shifted to Instagram, and they're not showing up the same way to Instagram. And so what I know for sure is that you have to constantly be changing in the social scenes. And what I'm seeing right now is definitely live selling, getting on live, especially in this space, and
Yep.
talking about your experience with makeup, showing people from a fresh face to a fully made face, and why these products benefit, and how they can help you. And so it's fun to be in that space and to see these women showing up left, right, and center. And it's vulnerable to show up
Yeah.
with no makeup on and up close and like talking through all of these things. And so I feel like live selling, connecting with people, sharing your stories, and really showing up as your authentic self and talking through why you're doing what you're doing
Yep.
is where it's at for us right now. Now,
Yeah.
with that being said, though, I still believe in person. And I am seeing, especially in our Mexican markets and our international markets, that having these get togethers with women and having like a spa day or having, a makeup class, there's a lot of traction in that too.
Yeah.
And being able to really help people put on makeup or explain skincare and health and beauty and all of those types of things. And so I think you have to always be willing to pivot, but you also can't be too distracted in too many things. If you're going to
Yep.
do live social selling, then pick your platform and do it there. But don't try to be YouTubing and Instagramming and Pinteresting, and it's too much and you're taking on too
Yep.
much. But for me, what I'm seeing is doing Facebook Lives. And even now with the new restrictions that they go away with 30 days, that's okay, because
Mm-hmm.
many people aren't going backwards to watch things. They want to see you live right now. And so showing
Yeah.
up that way for me is
Yeah.
what I'm seeing for at least my industry.
I love that. I love that you talk about there being this combination. And I think there's, this fear that I need to fully go into online and I need to leave behind the in person. I love that you've brought that in and made the point that this is a tool and it's a really great tool, but in person still matters as well. I also really love that you have literally got in and got your hands dirty and you decided, well, if we're going to encourage them to do this, I'm going to do this. And so you've been doing Get Ready With Me lives yourself.
I
Um,
know.
why did you choose to show up that way? And how has it helped bridge the gap for you? Or has it helped bridge the gap for you between even corporate and field? I feel like there's often a big disconnect. Have you seen a shift with that? And yeah, I'm really keen to hear more about
Yeah,
how
yeah.
that's gone for you.
It truly was a bit of a whim. I probably had been in Younique maybe 2 months, and I just felt like a disconnection. Like
Mhm.
I didn't know how to get into the field, And at close to my heart, I had the advantage of growing up with these people, right?
Yeah.
And I had all these different roles and positions, and so
Suddenly
it
you're the new
was
person on the block.
now I'm the new girl. Like what? Like I haven't been the new girl in 30 plus years. So like it really was probably like one of those middle of the nights, like I should go live. I should do that. Like what? And so literally told my team, I said, you guys, I have this crazy idea. I think I'm going to go live in our Facebook group. And there's thousands of it's a private group. So it's our brand ambassadors and brand affiliates. And they were like, yeah, one of the owners used to do that way back in the day. And, it hasn't been done for a long time. And I said, well, let's just try it. And it was nerve wracking. At close to my heart, I did do a lot of videos and live videos, but it was with my hands. I was
Yeah.
showing how to put things together. So you saw my face for maybe a split second as I introduced myself, and then we went right into whatever project I was working on. This is the first time that I'm showing up with no makeup on.
There's a
Like
vulnerability there, right?
I'm 52 years old, like I'm just like, woo, like my hair is my crown and I'm having to pull all of it back so that people can see this. And it has become such a connector to
Mm.
me and the field. Like I can do all the training videos and I can do all the on-stage training and all of these keynote speaking, but to sit with someone for an hour as you get ready and really truly talk about yourself, your life,
Mm.
your business decisions, and have them, their live feeds. So people are putting in comments and questions and observations, and it is a connector. And
Yep.
it's gone so well now that it's a year later that we're now translating my lives and posting them on all the international groups. And as I've been traveling and meeting these women, there hasn't been one event where someone hasn't come up to me. Many people have come up to me and said, please keep doing these lives. Because sometimes I'm like, are you guys sick of hearing from me? Like I'm not, but that's what they're doing. They're literally
Yeah.
showing up every day and I'm just doing it once a week. But it is a way for me to hear from the field directly without
Yeah.
having, all the different layers, and also to show the makeup and to show the skincare, which is so fun. It's actually been really, really fun for me. And there are days though, Sam, that I'm like, I don't want to get up and do this today. And I have never, like, at the end of it, I'm like, I'm so glad I did that. That was so much fun. And I connected with this
Yeah.
person, I connected with that person. And, it's given them permission to get back out online
Yeah.
again too. So
I've
that's
got
it.
to ask though, like I'm putting myself in this position here. I'm thinking if that were me, the thing I think that would scare me is like you knew the close to my heart products back to front and you'd stepped into this role at Younique, you're learning the products, right? And there are leaders who have been with this company, maybe some of them since it started.
Yeah.
Was there a little fear around, well, I'm pretty sure I know my makeup, that's fine. And I'm getting to know the products, but I'm really afraid of being the person who doesn't know them as well as someone else and saying something that's maybe not right or not giving all the information. Like was there like that for me would be a real fear. Like I don't have it perfect, so I'm not going to show up yet. I'm going to wait till I know everything back to front, but you didn't. Was like where were you at with that? That would have been for me the biggest
Absolutely.
fear.
Yes. And that was a real fear. But you know what? Again, this is me. I just say at the beginning, I'm new. So maybe you can help me out. You tell me
I
if I'm
love that.
doing something wrong,
Honest.
or here's what I think we should do with this. And and it's been so refreshing. And I think that people love authenticity and
Mhm.
vulnerability and to say,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert, but I'm willing to do this with you.
Yeah.
So let's work on this together. And sometimes I don't know all the names of all the products. And so I've got to wear
Yeah.
readers. So I'm like, let me grab my glasses and look at what this says. And but again, it makes
Yeah.
me real and it makes me
Yeah.
authentic, and it's okay. You do not have to be polished and perfect. In fact, it's better if you're not. It's
Yeah.
better that you're just showing up as you and just say, oh my gosh, like today I got hot while I was doing my get ready with me and my fan was under my desk. So I'm like, sorry, everybody, hold on a second. And I'm literally crawling under my desk. They're watching my bum go up, down to the ground so I can get my fan. And you know what? It's like, yeah, I'm just like you.
Yep.
We're all women, we're all the same, and we're all here just to support and strengthen each
Yep.
other.
I
And
love it.
guess we get to do it with makeup. How fun is that?
Yeah. So, well, I've got to ask, what's your favorite product? There's so many gorgeous, unique products. I want to know what your favorite is. Super curious.
Um, well, okay, can I do two categories? Because there's skincare and then there's makeup.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So skincare right now, my very favorite product is this eye cream, and it is so amazing. It is the best eye cream I've ever used in my life, and I'm at the age where crepiness is a real issue, fine lines, and I'm telling you, it has gotten rid of all of that. And it's morning and night, and I love this eye cream, and it has a ceramic applicator, and it feels amazing when you put it on. So that's my skincare fave. There's so many, but then for my makeup, I would say liquid eyeshadow. And I love playing with eyeshadow, and I'm a powder eyeshadow girl. I've always been. I've tried other brands of liquid, and I even returned them because I was like, it's not working for me. Like, anyway. So then I tried Younique's liquid eyeshadow every day. I'm an everyday liquid eyeshadow girl. And it's so simple, it's so easy, and it's so beautiful. And I love the color selection, and it stays all day, and it's wonderful. So there.
I love it. Well, we will. You guys have got some exciting other things that have been happening as well. So we'll talk about that very shortly for anyone who's interested in learning a little bit more about Younique. But I want to just talk about leadership for a moment. You have led people in international markets. You've had to step into leading people that you've not met before. You've come into a company that for you is very new after many, many years. And of course, there's different cultures and things that come into play as well when you're working with different international markets. Like you were telling me how much travel you've been doing since you've been in this role, just leading people. I'd love to know, what's one leadership principle that you rely on that serves you to be the best leader you can be in the space that you're in?
It's a little twofold, but listening to people
Mm.
and looking them in the eye, like be present with them and hear what they have to say. And I'm fortunate enough to speak Spanish as well, and Mexico's been a growing market for us, and so I've spent a lot of time there and getting to know people there. And but even with translators, like this is why I love the in-person side of this business,
Mm.
is there's an energy regardless of language that when you come with an open heart, it's tangible,
Yeah.
and they feel the sincerity and they feel my willingness of wanting to help and serve them in every which way.
Mhm.
And so I'm a hugger, I'm a toucher, I'm a, like I'm a tell me about you. I want to know, and I want to know your story. And hearing people's stories, it's the fuel. It's the fuel. It's the fuel to my fire to get through the hard things that we have to do. But it really gives me so much energy to continue to know who I'm working for. So listening and looking people in the eye and being present with them.
Yeah, I love that. And so, let's sort of pivot a little bit. I want to talk about Younique and where it's been and where it's going. Many years ago, I interviewed one of the Australian leaders from Younique on this podcast right back when we started. And she talked about some of her skills and strategies and things that she did to grow her business. And I know when you and I got chatting, Younique has been through lots over the years. It's had some challenges in recent years. It, like many companies, has made some, various different decisions and tried to pivot. Some have gone well, some not so much. But from your perspective, what has been the focus in really rebuilding trust and momentum with the field?
That's a great, great question. I think for me in this year that I've been here is one really understanding the needs of the field. Like, what are they
Mhm.
needing? One of it really was connection. Like, that was knowing that there's a team here now at Younique who really wants to be there to help them to learn and to grow. And I think what we've tried to do is then implement some of their suggestions in their programs. We started a new fast start program or quick start program based on an advisory board that we put together of top leaders from all different markets. And so really having them have a voice at the table with us was important for me to make sure that we were addressing the needs that they had now.
Yeah.
We had to look at our pay plan and make sure that our rewards trip and incentive programs were hitting the mark, and not just give me's, but like actually moving behavior and changing behavior. And it's not great for everyone, like
Mm.
anytime you touch something like that or anytime you move it, but the goal is so that more people can experience success through this business. And so
Yeah.
making hard decisions for the greater good, looking long term, and our goal right now really is to make this a legacy company. Younique's been
Yeah.
around for, I think, going on 12 years now. So I know it's possible. I mean, I was with the company for 30 years and it could have kept going. So I know that this is just the beginning. We have so much earth to till, but I think not making too many pivots too quickly in response to things. Like, we've got to ride some of this out. And I do think it is a good time for direct sales. It is unprecedented what is happening out there.
Yeah.
And I say out there because I live in Utah County. So I'm in the bowl of direct sales
Yeah.
mecca right here.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like physical. I see it everywhere I drive and turn to.
Yeah.
But people need people. And this is a people business, unlike no other. And it is a beautiful thing to watch someone with no education, no business background, to be able to grow something
Mhm.
and to be something more than they could have even imagined. And so
Yeah.
it's like, now is our time. Like, this is the time for us to get on our platforms and to say, do you want a new opportunity? Do you want a way to connect with people and make money and go on trips and help mentor people and build people up? This is the industry to do that. And so
Mm.
it is somewhat going back to the basics of why we're here and what
Yeah.
we're doing together.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I love that. And so, what about the I guess the road forward? What excites you about the most about where Younique is heading and what you guys are up to? You've got some cool stuff in the pipeline at the
Yeah.
moment.
Well, I feel like we're just getting started. I feel like, we just announced a new rewards trip. We just have our new pay plan that's going to be so much more rewarding at the lower levels as people move their
Yeah.
way up. We've partnered with Camigo, which is an online selling platform,
Mhm.
which is also, the CEO is the owner of Younique, and it's just a different business, but we're partnering together to give people more social selling tools through
Yep.
applications and things like that. And so we're just getting started. Like, I feel like there's so much more to learn and so much more to grow. And I love that we're open as a company
Yeah.
to empower and to really live the mission. And we're celebrating 10 years of Sapria. In fact, in June is 10-year anniversary. And that has become something that
Mm.
was so important to me to bring back to the forefront. For some reason it got pushed back because it's a hard subject to talk about,
Yeah.
and social media like Instagram and Facebook and all those things, they don't like those words. They don't like child
Mm.
sexual abuse. And so
Yeah.
it gets muddled or monitored and sometimes it gets taken down. But this is important work that we're
Yeah.
doing. And thousands and thousands of women in particular have been through the Sapria retreat, which is completely free. It is completely free. It's an amazing retreat to give people the tools and therapy and support that they need to overcome what they've been through in their
Yeah.
lives. And so the work is amazing, and what we're doing to bring Sapria back to the forefront of Younique, to really know that every time you sell a mascara, you are helping someone. It is
Mhm.
not just about selling products. It is not just about making money. You are making and healing the difference in the world that we need right now. And so again, that's another reason why I love this company and I love what we're doing together. It feels very mission driven, and
Yeah. I
it's
love that
easy
so much.
to work hard for that.
Awesome. And we'll put in the show notes too if anyone wants to check out Sapria. Is there some information somewhere, a website they can go
Yeah.
visit?
Yep, sapria.org is where you would want to go to see that. And like I said, it's free. The program is free, and it's an incredible resource. They've done a lot of translations for Spanish now, and they have Spanish workshops and therapies and all of that kind of stuff as well. And then yeah, so I'm grateful for this opportunity to help in that effort, in that cause.
Amazing. And just before I get into my 4 fun questions, Monica, just, being someone who's in the position that you're in, you've got the experience that you've got, what trends do you think we should be watching out for in this industry over the next 12 to 24 months?
That is a tough one because
I
I
know.
honestly feel like it's changing so rapidly, but I do
Yeah.
think that the bottom line is you need to be you, and you need to bring you. And you don't need to be the perfect business person. You don't need to be the perfect anything. You just need to come with your passion and your love of why you joined this company or that company. What is it that brought you into it? And even if it is just to pay a bill, let people know that that's why you're doing this. And you'll see that world open up. It's
Mhm.
so amazing to watch how people grow, like their confidence and their willingness to share. And again, I just think, I don't know if there's the secret sauce is you,
Yeah,
period. That is
I
it.
love it. So good. So perfect. So I've got 4 really fun questions now to ask you. My first one is this: what is your favorite book for our accelerator book list?
Well, I have so many, as I'm sure every leader. I think every leader should be a reader. There's that. Every leader should be a reader, and if you can't read, you can listen. And Audible's been amazing for me. But the book that really truly transformed me to be the person that I am today outside of Scripture is The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown.
Yep.
And I felt like it talks about, again, authenticity and vulnerability, and that is the superpower. That is being you, authentically you, and really seeing people in that light too, of
Yeah.
like, we're just all the same, and we're
Yeah.
all here just to help each other home. That's why we're here.
Yep. Beautiful, and that is actually on my to read list. I've got myself a shelf over here right
So
now
good.
of books that I'm reading this year. I wanted to commit to reading at least one book a month. I'm ahead, which I'm super excited about.
Good.
But it is one of my upcoming books, so I've got that one
It's an
sitting right
easy
here in front of my
read.
nose.
It's an easy read, and it's really a book that got me out of the depths of some serious
Mm,
depression and dark times.
yeah,
And it revolutionized me as a woman and as a mother.
yeah,
It's amazing, and it's very easy read. A very easy read.
yeah, awesome. If you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would it be?
That's easy. Teleportation. I Because I love being with the field, and I love travel, and I love being with people, but I miss my family, and I have a very large family, and I missed my son's graduation a few weeks ago because I was in Ireland on a rewards trip there, and that was hard, you know. So I think teleportation would be the thing, so that I could blink in an eye and be where I need to be, and I think, man, I would be unstoppable if that were possible.
I love it. So many people say to me teleportation because they just want to be able to get to places really quickly.
Yeah,
The other one that really surprises me that comes up a lot is wanting to be able to read people's minds. And I feel like that would be the worst
I don't
superpower in
want
the
that.
world. I would never want to know what
I
is
wouldn't
going
either.
through your mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that either. Teleportation's where it's at.
Yep, yep. I love it. What is your favorite quote?
um, for such a time as this, it's actually a scripture, but it's
Mm,
for me, it's like we are here for a purpose. This
yeah,
is your time. This is our time, and for me, it's very much like if you knew, if you really opened up to who you are and why you're here, and you will and can make a difference. And yeah, that's mine.
yeah. I love that. Such an important one to remember. I think, we're always looking forward or back. We're looking at what comes next, and we're looking at the past, and a lot of the fears around the moment we're in come from past experiences, and they're just simply unfounded because they're not the reality right now, right? But how often, and I think about this as a parent, but I've got an 18-month-old now, and I look back to my older kids who are now 19, 17, 16, and 13, and I think to myself, if I could just go back in time to some of those moments when they were little and be present in that moment where I was wishing it away because they were tantruming on the floor of the supermarket or they wouldn't go to sleep. I just think I would take even those moments, the moments when they were sick and you're in that time and you're thinking, I just want this to go away. I still would take those moments again 100 times over if I could relive them because
Yeah.
you don't get to have them again, right? And it's
No.
like that with every moment in our life. You
Yeah.
know, this awesome interview right here, we don't get to do this again. And so, um, you know, I think we're so in tune to think about what's coming and where we've been, but there's there's such a skill, but such a gift in being able to be present in the moment that we're in, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, if you would have asked me for a second book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle
Mm-hmm.
is powerful. The Power of Now. And yeah, like you, I had 5 children in 8 years, and my oldest is 30, which is crazy to say. But then we kind of had a second family. It was weird. We had five, and then we decided to have two more. And so my youngest to my oldest is 17 years apart, so very
Yep.
similar to you. I was 38 when I had her, and to be able to experience, it was such a different experience because I was more
Yeah.
mature and more present, and
Mm-hmm.
knowing that like this is it for me, and I'm going to just savor every single second. And I
Yeah.
have apologized to my older kids and said, you guys had a totally
Yeah.
different mother
Yeah. I
than
feel
that she has, you know. And
Yes,
so
yeah. I feel really bad for my older kids, to be fully truthful, because I did, jump straight. Look, I would say one of the things that I did was I jumped straight back into work, but I actually did it because I was escaping what I felt I wasn't good at, which was being a
mm,
mum.
mm,
And I felt like I was good at work.
yeah,
And, when I had Addie, I recognized that that was a pattern of behavior. I was like, I can't do that again. I'm not going to do it again. But I think there's a lot to be said for, I feel very blessed that I get to be a parent again so many years later, because people often say to me, oh my gosh, how hard is it going back and having a baby again? I'm like, it is the best thing ever,
It is the best
because
thing.
I absolutely know just what a precious time this is. Let's face it, I've got teenagers now, and that's tough. So babies can't be that hard.
We'll talk offline. Girl.
But honestly, it is just such a beautiful experience. And I think it's like that too, even with business. And we've been talking a lot about business today, but fast forward, if I go back and I look back on my career when I first started, I'm sure that you'd be like this as well. There are so many things that I would appreciate in a different way now, and even skills that I probably would have really invested in earlier on, had I really understood the importance of showing up and being ourselves and being there for people and leading people. And
100%. I
hindsight's a
totally
wonderful thing, right?
like, we're so like-minded. Everything you said, I feel and totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Last question, but by far my favorite as we wrap this up, is if you could go back in time and say one thing to your past self, what would it be?
Savor it. Like, I mean, we've already discussed it, but truly it is just enjoy the now, because tomorrow's a different day and tomorrow's another experience. And I've had an amazing journey, and it's been full of hard, Sam, but I would not change anything, because it has shaped me to who I am and has made me the person, and I hope the servant leader that I am today. And I am grateful for every single moment. And I wish I wasn't running so fast, trying to be the perfect mom and trying to be the perfect employee. And like, I needed to savor the moments. And I feel like I'm doing that now. And of course I get to the redo with the grandchildren. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I have I have 5 daughters and 2 sons, and I have 5 granddaughters and two grandsons. So I feel like God's amazing that way. He's like, here you go. You get it all over again. 5 daughters,
I
2
love it.
sons, five granddaughters, 2 grandsons. So it's
Good.
beautiful. Life is amazing, and it's hard and complicated, but man, we've been given so much, and we have each other. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, Monica, this has been such an honor and a privilege for me to be able to chat with you today. I love your heart. I love what you do. I love how you lead. And what a wealth of experience you've had in this industry. I look forward to see what comes next for you, but also Younique. So thank you again so much for taking the time out to be a part of the podcast and chatting with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks again, of course, to our beautiful listeners. Thanks for tuning in. It's great to have you here. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And please share this one with someone else that needs to hear the message that you heard today. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you on the podcast again next week. That's it from us. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.